All right, this is just a tag-on video to the one where I was talking about raw milk versus leafy greens, which is riskier. If you haven't watched that video, I would have you go watch that video because there might be some facts in there that you might not be aware of. So it's just kind of interesting. And I wanted to just mention that the government has no right in anybody's business. And when they do get involved in people's business, you know that it somehow serves them. Okay, it's always something that serves them because they do not give a shit about humanity and they do not give a shit about our health. And I always like to just bring up cigarettes because it's something that we can all relate to, okay? Because any one of us at any given time right now can walk into a store and purchase cigarettes, okay? They're not banned, and nor should they. If people want to do something that kills them and harms them, have at it. Have at it. Like, if you want to do something that is really bad for your body, do it. Just don't make me have to pay for your health care. That's really what it boils down to, is like, nobody should have to pay for your health care. That's why I'm opposed to the way our insurance system is set up. But that's a whole nother story, because unfortunately we need insurance because, you get into an accident and if you don't have insurance, you're going to be financially devastated. The whole thing sucks. But what I'm saying is that people do things every day that harm their bodies, okay? And they don't care. People don't care. They take the risk because they want to fucking smoke, right? No benefit to smoking. Some would argue that. Some would argue that there's some benefit because nicotine does have some minor health benefits, but held up to the undesirable effects. Now, don't even go there with me. Like, don't even go there with me. For the tiny little bit of benefit that you might get, there's an overwhelming amount of terrible things that you could get as well, okay? So when you consider from a statistic perspective that about 67%, it's roughly about 67% of people who smoke end up dying of a smoke-related illness, okay? Something related to the fact that they smoked, whether it's because smoking, chronically smoking, basically suffocates your cells, okay? It robs your body from oxygen, okay? There's also a million other things too. You are constantly inhaling smoke, which is very damaging to the lungs. There's polycyclic aromatic compounds, which are absolutely terrible for your lungs. And these come with even natural cigarettes, okay? Cigarettes that are not commercial, things that you're rolling yourself, making yourself, growing yourself, okay? The lungs are just not meant, they're not designed to be inhaling smoke to that degree, okay? They can handle some smoke, of course, because healthy lungs are pretty flexible and adaptable, but they're not supposed to, they're not designed for this, okay? They're just not. So it doesn't matter what you're smoking, okay? But none of that is illegal. None of that is banned. Yet it's very, very risky. Very risky to smoke or vape, okay? And none of that is banned. And, they want to make it sound like raw milk is so dangerous, we need to ban it to save people from themselves because people are too stupid and they're making a decision to drink raw milk when they could get sick. But yet people eat shit all the time that can make them sick. Sushi, buffets, leafy greens. And actually, I did that video on leafy greens. So you definitely want to go watch that video, okay? People do risky things all the time because the benefit to them is worth it, all right? And that's just the bottom line, because statistically speaking, raw milk is not any more dangerous than eating leafy greens. As a matter of fact, it is likely, it's hard to get hard data, okay? Because there's no hard data either way. There just isn't. But just kind of looking at general populations of people who consume these products and going on like guesstimates, it looks like leafy greens actually make more people sick from a statistical perspective. Okay, I'm not talking about the numbers, talking about based on the population of people that consume it and then the people that get sick. It appears that more people get sick from leafy greens than people who drink raw milk and get sick from raw milk. Okay, so that's the way that it goes, right? But nobody's banning cigarettes and nobody's banning alcohol, right? And these things are terrible for people. Alcohol is just flat out poison. And cigarettes cause major, major, major illness, okay? So, yeah. Okay. It's really all you need to know. It's really not getting into this whole squabble about oh, you know, it's risky. I mean, life is risky. Life is risky, okay? And why does the government want to ban raw milk but not cigarettes? Okay? Just let that sink in. Okay? And if you do get sick from raw milk, the chances of you getting really, really, really sick from it, like really sick, is very low. You might get a bellyache and have some diarrhea and vomit for a little bit, maybe, but maybe not. You might not even notice. Yeah. And it may happen to you once in your lifetime, maybe. I've never had it happen in 20 years of drinking it. My kids were raised on it. Never happened once, never happened with anyone we knew. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying never did in 20 years of me drinking it. I'm particular about the farms that I go to as well. Very particular. And I talked about some of the things in my other video. So again, if it's a topic you're interested in, go listen to it, because I talked about a few things that matter, that nobody seems to talk about, because they just want to do the propaganda that raw milk is dangerous. They don't want to get into the how, why, what's going on here. Okay, because it all boils down to the how, what, and why. All right. Yeah. Okay, so leafy greens are dangerous. And no, you cannot wash E. coli off of leafy greens. Okay, so let's just put that myth to bed. All right, you can't. It can reduce it on the outer surface, but it cannot eliminate it. All right, it cannot. Oh, people need a little class on facts. So nobody's banning smoking. All right, and more than half of the people that smoke will end up dying from a smoking related illness. Nobody seems to care about that, but they sure as hell care if you drink raw milk. Why is that? Smoking has zero health benefit, none, only detriment. Maybe a tiny little bit of benefit because of some of the natural compounds that are in there. Maybe a tiny bit of benefit, but very outweighed by the negatives, very outweighed. And raw milk, chance of you getting sick, less than 0.005%. And that is if you are on the absolute conservative side of how many people are drinking raw milk in this country. I believe the number is exponentially higher, and I believe that the percentage and the risk is actually exponentially lower. Okay, that's just what I see, because there's no way they have an accurate assessment of how many people are drinking raw milk. They don't have an accurate assessment. They only have passive reporting. And if we're going by the percentages based on the passive reporting, it's still an extremely low amount of risk. Very, very low. Extremely low. Okay. But yet the risk of dying of a smoking related illness is extremely high, over 50%. Okay. Stop falling for the propaganda and the bullshit, please. Okay. There's so many retarded people on this planet. Just please, just understand, okay? You don't have to choose any risk that you don't want to, okay? But you don't have a right to tell somebody else what they can and cannot do, all right? Signing out.